How do you flush the toilet? I was 17 years old, and 1 week into my experience as a high school exchange student to the French-speaking part of Belgium. It was Saturday night, and my Belgian host family had brought me to a party at their friend's house. My Belgian sisters, Christelle, who was 12, and Virginie, who was 9, they were off dancing around and having a good time with all the other little kids their age. My Belgian host parents, who were in their late 30s, whom I called Mama and Papa, they were out at the kitchen table with all the other adults having a lively conversation that was enhanced by warm Belgian beer, hearty bread, cheese. And me, I was in the bathroom having a meltdown. It had been like this all week. People would be talking and then they would laugh, and I wanted to laugh, but I couldn't understand enough of the French to know what they were saying. And then, like tonight, they would be having a conversation, and you could tell they were really passionate about it. And I wanted to have an opinion, but when I caught a word, it was about someone I didn't know or someplace I had never been. Before they sent us overseas, the exchange student company gave us a weekend-long orientation, and they taught us how to be an exchange student. They explained cultural exchange using the metaphor of sunglasses. They said that every American was born with 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 arms, 2 legs, and in time, their family and their community fit them with a pair of blue sunglasses so that they saw everything that everyone else in the world saw, but they saw it filtered through this color blue. And in this example, every Belgian person was born with 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 arms, 2 legs, and in time, their family and their community fit them with a pair of yellow sunglasses, so that they saw everything everybody else saw, but filtered through these yellow sunglasses. And Lord, how I wanted those yellow sunglasses. Because it was our job as an exchange student to take off our blue sunglasses and do whatever it took to get those yellow ones. Now, sending me on this trip was a huge financial investment for my family back in Ohio. And I had worked so hard to prepare for this trip. I got straight A's in high school French. I did extra work with the French teacher in the summer to get ready. But it turns out that my high school French teacher spoke French with an American accent. Slowly. Being careful to use only words that she knew, I knew. Whereas my Belgian family and their friends and neighbors, they just spoke French willy-nilly. However they wanted, they spoke at conversational speed using a regional dialect and accent, and I was lost. And by the time we got to this party and that conversation started out at the kitchen table, I'd reached my breaking point. And so I excused myself and I came to the bathroom. And I cried. I didn't just cry, I wept. And when I was done weeping, I peed. And when I was done peeing, I couldn't figure out how to wash the toilet. There wasn't a tank on the back behind the stool like you would expect. Dear God, help me, please. And there Well, at least there's that. I went to the mirror, washed my hands at the sink, I'm looking in the mirror, and I thought, how am I ever going to get those yellow sunglasses? If I can't even understand what anyone is saying, how am I going to fit into this family and this community if I can't participate in conversations? How am I going to make good on my family's investment in me? And I started to cry again. And I said, Janelle, pull yourself together. You did not come all this way to cry in some foreigner's bathroom. And then it hit me. They lived here. I was the foreigner. So I pulled myself together and I went back out into the party. Now, not long after I left the bathroom, my parents gathered up the kids and we left the party. And when we got back to our house, they kissed Christelle and Virginie goodnight. And then they sent them upstairs to bed. And then my host mother, my mom, went over and sat down on the living room couch. And she looked at me. Janelle, voici, assieds-toi. Janelle, come here. Sit down. So I went over and I sat down. Now my host mother was a second-grade teacher. And in emergencies like this, she could rein it in and give you slow elementary school French. I could understand at that speed and vocabulary. She began, Janelle, la Belgique est un petit pays avec deux langues. Belgium is a small country with two languages. And she went on to explain that in the south of the country they speak French, and in the north they speak Dutch, and from the time Belgian students are in middle school, they are required every summer for 2 weeks to spend time with a family in the other side of the country, so that they can get to know the language and culture and customs of their countrymen. Mais tout le temps, je savais que mes parents étaient deux heures loin. All the time, I knew my parents were only 2 hours away. People talk, they laugh. I want to laugh, I don't know. They talk, and I want to say, but I don't know. It's like to be deaf. Yes. And j'en ai marre, I get frustrated, but I always know my parents are just by there. But your parents, Janelle, an ocean. I can't imagine. Ce soir, est-ce que tu as pleuré au bain? This evening, when you went to the bathroom, did you cry? Oui, maman, j'ai pleuré. I cried. Ah, c'est interdit ça. That is forbidden. It is forbidden for you to cry alone. When you feel this, and you will, you come to me and we cry together. And the two of us melted into tears, and we melded into family. And when I wiped those tears from my eyes, suddenly, everything looked a bit younger. But the days and weeks passed, and I grew more and more comfortable in my yellow sunglasses. I was actually pretty proud of them. The French was coming easier and easier. I was even starting to dream in French. And on weekends, my host parents would take us all as a family and go on an excursion, and they would show me different places in Belgium that they thought it was important for someone to see. And then one day, they decided that that weekend, we would go to Brundung. Christelle and Virginie would not join us on this trip. They were too young. You see, Brundung was a fortress from World War I in the north of Belgium. And in World War II, it was commandeered by the Nazis and used as a collection camp. It was a place where they gathered Jewish people until they had a trainload full. And then they would load those people onto a train, and they would send them deep into Germany or into Poland, and we all know what happened there. It was also a place where they would torture members of the resistance for information. It was also a place where they would bring villagers that they had gathered randomly from throughout Belgium and execute them by firing squad as punishment for sabotage committed by the resistance.
Oh, wow.
My host mother came to me and she said, "Nous devons téléphoner tes parents. We must telephone your parents. We must ask them permission to take you to this place." Mama, I am 17 years old. While I'm here, you are my parents. If you say I can go, I can go. We don't have to call my parents in Ohio and ask. Ah, no. You are 17 years old. When we take you to this place, you will lose a certain innocence. And I will not do that to someone else's child without their permission. We must telephone tes parents. So we did. We called my parents in Ohio, and I explained to them where Mama and Papa wanted to take me, and they gave permission. And the day came for us to go and visit Brundung. The three of us piled into the car, and we made the hour-and-a-half drive to the north where it was located. The Belgian people have been very careful with Brundung to preserve it. It looks pretty close to exactly how it did the day the Nazis left. The Belgians have been careful not to sanitize it. As we walked through the fortress, there were other people touring, but no one spoke. And if they did, it was in a whisper. We saw the room where they tortured the people from the resistance, gutters in the floor still stained with blood. We went outside in the courtyard, and I saw the wall where the firing squads executed all those people. The wood still splintered by the bullets, still stained with the lifeblood of those who died in front of that wall. The only thing that's different now from then is that they have erected a plaque with the names and the ages of the people who died there. And I stood and I read those names. Henri Lebois, 22. Michel Dumont, 20. Marie Lefebvre, 17. My age. André Richard, 12. 12. When our tour was finished, I walked with my mom and Papa back to the car. We got in, we began to drive home, Papa driving, my mom beside him, and I sat in that back seat. And I took those yellow sunglasses off, and I put my blue sunglasses back on, and it still hurt. And I realized there was no pair of sunglasses that I could wear that would make what I had just seen make any sense. And so I took the blue sunglasses off, and I sat in that back seat, no sunglasses. And I was dizzy. And I laid down across the back seat and sobbed. It's been over 40 years since I made that visit to Brendonk. I still keep in contact with my Belgian family. I hope to go see them soon. I still have my yellow sunglasses. I like to put them on from time to time just to see things from a different perspective, especially when I watch the evening news. My 17-year-old self was so proud of those yellow sunglasses. And my now 60-year-old self wonders, what would it be like? What would our world be like if we all just took the sunglasses off? What if we saw each other as we truly are, unfiltered by our culture and its agenda? I think we might all be a little bit dizzy at first. But then I think we would just fall in love. And then I think we would melt and melt. And then we would all cry together. Merci.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yes.
First time I've heard her.
Yeah, she's professional level.